Robbing money, craving, started shoebox saving, made some puzzle placements. I know what this life gon' come with, know that they gon' go and hate it when you make it.
Welcome back to Nationwide Sports Dog. I'm Matt Mackey, live from West Virginia. Wild and one of y'all. We have a great episode today going on. It's a college basketball edition, breaking down the Sweet 16 recap, talk about the Elite 8 recap, and then we're going to break down the Final Four and give our prediction on hopefully this one's right on the national champion, because let's just say that we got the Elite 8 way wrong. You could say, well, I think we only got two teams wrong. But before we even get started on that, I got to introduce the co-host live from Morgantown. Caleb, say what's up.
What is going on, guys? I hope everyone had a great week. Like Mike said, we are back with another, I guess you could say, exciting episode. But I mean, it's kind of not exciting whenever we pick the wrong Final Four again and again. But like you said, we're gonna try again.
You got right though the whole entire year.
That is true. But it's kind of sad to keep picking and get them wrong. So I just got a notification on my phone, and this kind of breaks my heart, and it's the reason I was kind of stumbling over my words. UNC just announced that Roy Williams, after 33 years, is retiring. Yep. The man gets his first round of 64 loss. It's snowing outside. The man gets his first round of 64 loss, and now he retires. Roy Williams definitely has done enough for UNC in basketball, but not expecting him to go out like this. This is not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting to see UNC make some kind of run magically next year, and then maybe Roy Williams retire or something. Didn't see him retiring, I wouldn't say on a bad note, but on a not so great note, and not having a kind of year you want to have as a head coach.
I didn't even know that was happening. I get surprised that, Coach K lasts longer than him.
Yeah. And like when you were doing the intro, I literally clicked start, and then I get this notification that Roy Williams was retiring, and I was like, wow, okay. Great way to start the episode off.
For sure. Nice and informative one right there. Caught me off guard because I didn't even know. I didn't get that notification, to be honest with you. But since we know that good old Roy Williams is retiring, let's talk about where he could have been at right now. Final Four. But what happened for the Final Four? The Elite 8, what happened for that Sweet 16? So we'll break down the Sweet 16 for you. So Caleb and I did a prediction for each game, and we both picked Lower Chicago to start game one. And Oregon State came out, let's just say, intense. I mean, it was a low-scoring first half. That first half score was 24-16. Boring, that's for sure. And no one was able to hit. Like, Lower Chicago was off. Even Oregon State was off. I mean, Oregon State ended the half on an 11-0 run. And Lower Chicago didn't even score in the last 5 minutes of the first half. So that just tells you something right there. But with all that being said, I'm just impressed by Ethan Thompson for Oregon State and how his grind, his work ethic, and how his determination is like, nah, I don't care if we're 12 seed. We're making a run for this thing. And they did. Yes, he was out majority of the year. And he comes back and win Pac-12 conference tournament, won round one, round two. Now you make the Sweet 16, you win that, and now you're in the Elite 8. So what were your thoughts on this game?
I think you pretty much hit it on the head. I mean, seeing that from the start, like it was kind of shaky, like you didn't really know what was going on in this game. No one could really hit their shots. And then Oregon State just kind of started doing what they're doing. They just got hot, and it was kind of out of nowhere. Like you said, they kind of got hot when Ethan Thompson came back in towards the end of the year, and they kept that momentum, and they've run with it. And, I mean, we've said it before. This Oregon State team as soon as they cross half court, it's pretty much like you have to step up on them, or they're going to fire the ball. And I would say about 7 times out of 10, they're making the shot. They can shoot the ball, and they shot it a lot better than Loyola Chicago, and I think they were just a little bit better than this Loyola Chicago team.
Definitely shot better than Chicago. Chicago had 3 more shot attempts. You won golf that, shooting 33%. Whereas that rebounding at same, turnovers same, like everything in the whole category was the same besides shooting, and everything else is good. Just gotta make shots, and when you shoot 5 for 23 from 3, better do something else. I'm just curious, like why they just didn't keep going out low to Cutwig. Like Cutwig is a big dude, veteran guy. He can back down anybody, and he'll draw a foul because Oregon State does have a 7-footer. So draw the foul, make that guy foul out, make him foul out, and then you can easily walk away with this Sweet 16 victory in my eyes.
Yeah, it's kind of been their game plan. I wouldn't say all along, but especially in the tournament. Like you look when they played Illinois, Krutwig was, he was dominant. Like we said, he was able to shut down AP All-American, Puffy Cockburn, and then you have that duo with him and Io. But he was able to shut down Cockburn and get his points on Cockburn and lead that team past them. It's like, why are we not taking that to our advantage against Oregon State? Yeah, they have a little bit taller dude, but I don't think he's athletically, I don't think he's as good, and physically, I don't think he's as strong as Puffy Cockburn was. So yeah. To me, that didn't make sense. I would think, if it's been helping you out and it's gotten you to the Sweet 16 past really good teams, I would believe you would keep sticking with it, like you said.
Exactly. Roman Silver, Oregon State, the 7-footer center I was talking about, he didn't do much. He only had 4 points the whole game. He's just there for his presence. That's the only reason why he's there. So you take advantage of that presence and you make him foul, and he'll hack you, try to do anything possible to stop you. He'll foul out. And once that 7-footer's gone, it's a clean lane from there on out, because once he hits 3 fouls, they're going to pull him, and that's when you just keep targeting it because they will foul. Mm-hmm. It's common knowledge in basketball. Go down low, you're going to get a foul every time almost. Next game up, we have the Villanova versus Baylor game. This game was fun to watch because I saw 2 different Baylor teams. Let's say that. First half, Baylor wasn't hitting nothing. They looked lackadaisy, kind of like, oh, I'm going to win this game no matter what. Like, I don't care. And they were down at about 7.5. Came out second half and outscored Villanova by 18 points.
The way this Baylor team can just kick it into that second gear or that third gear to finish out a game is crazy to me. And we've talked about Jared Butler all year long. For him to only have 9 points and them to still be able to pull this victory out shows a lot for this team. Again, this team is very veteran heavy, so they have a lot of veteran players. I'm pretty sure that is, I've talked about it before. That's why they make this run. That's why I've had them as a favorite all year long, or one of my favorites. But I think if you're this Baylor team, Butler has to, he's your guy for this team. So, he has to shoot better than 4 for 14, and he has to shoot better 1 from 9 from the 3. And going on to their next game, definitely has to do better because this Houston team can shoot the ball lights out the gym. So, this game, like you said, was definitely fun to watch. But one thing that really caught my eye is just how this Baylor team can kick it into that second or third gear when they need to.
Yes. It was literally a whole new team second half, whole new team.
Yeah, and it's they'll go on a little drought, they won't score, or Villanova will go on a little run, and then next thing you know, Baylor's on a little run, and it's a 6-0 run or 8-0 run, and it's what the hell just happened? Like, we were up 6-0. We were on an 8-0 run. Now we're down. Now they're on an 8-0 run. It's like, what's going on? And I mean, again, that's why this team has been so good all year long, is because they can just kick it into that second gear and go. And a lot of teams don't have that, especially when it comes late in the tournament time like this.
And then the third game of the day, number 3 seed Arkansas trying to kill 15 seed Oral Roberts tournament run, dreams, whatever you say. This game shocked me just how close it was and how Oral Roberts was up by 7 at halftime. And honestly, with that being said, I didn't even realize these two teams played in the regular season. And Oral Roberts, was up by 10 at halftime. I didn't even think of that.
Excuse me. Was it one of their early games?
Yeah, it was back in December.
Okay.
Back in December when they played each other, Arkansas came out on top 87-76, but at halftime, down by 10. So when I saw that, I said, oh, shit. I didn't even know they played each other. So now I'm watching the game, and I'm just seeing it go back and forth, back and forth. And this Max Amos boy, that dude is the real deal as a sophomore, being 6'1", putting up 25 points against 6'5", 6'6" guards, and just not caring, just pulling it up was incredible to see and watch. His whole tournament run was great to watch.
Yeah, I saw NCAA March Madness Instagram page. They did a thing with like most dominant players or best performances in the tournament, and he was up there for Ohio State, and I think he was up there for Arkansas as well. But like you said, just what he's done. I mean, we can talk about, like, we're not even going to talk about all year. I mean, like we talked about last episode, he was the leading scorer all years. But now we're going on to, like, I'm talking about just March Madness, when he's been on when just the spotlight's been on him. Like, he's been able to just shine. What was that?
Did you know that he played every single minute of every game
Through the regular season?
No, through the tournament. He played 45 minutes in the Ohio State game, 40 minutes against Florida, 40 minutes against Arkansas.
Oh, damn.
Never said it.
I thought I had heard something. It might have been for the tournament then, but I thought I heard something that he played like all year, like barely rested all year.
And then you look back at the Summit League tournament from the semifinals on, he played every single minute.
I mean, but he is, to me, from like an outsider's view, it seems like he is, I wouldn't say like he could be that guy. I mean, I think they have another that guy with Jurgens, but I think he's like the leader of that team. Like, he just brings a different, I'm trying to find the word. He brings a different momentum when he's on the floor. And I think that's why he's always on the floor for this Oral Roberts team. It's like they understand that with him on the floor, they're better, whether he's scoring or he's passing the ball, or he's not doing anything. He's just out there being that veteran player for them. This Arkansas team, I think for them too, kicking it in that second gear this game was key. Like you said, they were down 10 at half, and then, not 10 at half, they were down 8, or 7, but they came out and they started a little slow in the second half, and then again they were just able to kick it into that second gear. Their last game in the Sweet 16, I think, Sweet 16. Moses Moody got in foul trouble early in this game, which I think really hurt him. So I think that was big because he's been a big key to their offense and defense. I mean, he was SEC Defensive Player of the Year, but
they're starting 5, 3 freshmen, 2 seniors.
Is that Arkansas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 freshmen starting for him.
I've told people, and I think I've told you, I think this Arkansas team is going to be around Final. Like, I think they're going to be around this area, Final Four, Elite Eight for years to come.
Last game on the Saturday, we had Houston taking on Syracuse. Syracuse had a good run, you could say, but they came across a very talented shooting Houston team. And what happened that game? They lost by 16. Thought it'd be a lot closer than that, but our good old boy, Buddy Boeheim, held the 12 points, 3 for 13 shooting. And Houston just their defense that they bring to the table was incredible, and it stopped them overall because first off, they out-rebounded Syracuse 40-31, had less turnovers, and just shot the ball better.
Yeah, one thing about this Houston team is they can run the floor, I think better than any team in this tournament. They're just so quick, and like you said, they force so many turnovers, and they capitalize off those turnovers. And this is one team that I've noticed watching this tournament, like when they do force turnovers, they don't turn the ball over a lot either. Like you said, like they had 8 turnovers and they forced 11 for Syracuse. It's not a great difference, but it makes a difference when it comes down to the end of the game. And as you can see in the box score, but I think this Houston team, again with Arkansas, I think they could be around Sweet 16, Elite 8 for years to come, just because of how exciting and how good they are. I mean, I love watching this Houston team play. I didn't watch them play at all in the regular season, but I've loved watching them. I've loved watching them play in the tournament.
So now we have one side of the bracket filled for the Elite Eight, which was Oregon State versus Houston and Baylor versus Arkansas. Before we continue on to Elite Eight, we got to talk about the other side. We had to recap the Gonzaga, Creighton game. Gonzaga, there's really not much to say, but they're just so dominant. I mean, they beat Creighton by 18. Just dominant performances they had.
I think before this game, they beat every team by 30 plus in the tournament or something. But I know WVU and some other team have still been the closest games for Gonzaga. Like I think they've only had 2 games within 10 plus.
They beat BYU by 10. Other than that, they beat BYU by 11 in the regular season. Santa Clara by 14. And then
WVU was by 5, I think.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think there was any team that was within 10 points of them other than WVU.
Yeah, W was 5 and Iowa was 11. This team's just been dominant all year long. So there's really not much to talk about this game, just the fact that they're in the Elite Eight. There's really not much to say.
Surprise.
There's that. And then we talk about this Florida State-Michigan game. I thought this Florida State team could get the upset in this one. I did. But Michigan just kept pushing and just going down low. And it affected Florida State big time, especially when Florida State shot 5 for 20 from 3. They weren't hitting their shots, and they lost by 18.
How many people? Did you see how many people dressed for Florida State?
Yeah, the whole team.
That's crazy. Yeah, this game, I didn't watch this game, but I did see highlights. Michigan, I just think the better team in this one. I think that I think they had a little bit, not more depth, but I think they had a little bit more valuable depth on their bench with Davis coming out, giving them 6 points. And then they had Brown coming out, giving them 12 as well off the bench. But their starting 5, man, so dominant. And then you look at Franz Wagner, what he can do. He's a dominant player too, and he kind of took over this game when he needed to, and that was key for them. Having someone that can take over the game when they need to.
I mean, this Florida State team, they had a good run, and like I said, I wanted them to get the upset. I wanted it so bad. I wanted to see Michigan fall. I don't know why. I just did. Like, I was like, all right, Michigan's going to fall here. But they overcame, I guess, the adversity. Florida State, a lot of hype was around Florida State the whole entire year. Throughout the whole entire season, Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. But to see Michigan get that big of a performance win was great to see, honestly, no matter what. Juwan Howard, his second year at Michigan coaching-wise, and he's doing this, making a trip to the Elite Eight. That's incredible as it is. Anyways, third game of the day, an overtime one. We had UCLA versus Alabama. Another heartbreaker for me, you could say, because in both my brackets, I had Florida State or Alabama in the Final Four. So there's that. UCLA went to overtime with Alabama and came out with a 10-point victory. My question is, Alabama, you make that game, you make that buzzer beater 3-point shot to make it overtime, and then you lose by 10. You do all that to lose by 10. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what the hell? Like, you literally allow UCLA to score 23 points in 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
what? What in the 23 points in 5 minutes?
I mean,
and you do the math one real quick. In the second half, a 20-minute half, UCLA had 25 points. 20 minutes, 25 points, 5 minutes in overtime, 23 points.
one thing that really hurt this Alabama team is they couldn't make their threes, like, at all. From the first half to the second half. Couldn't make them at all. And like we've talked about, like, that was one of the biggest things with this Alabama team. With them and Oregon State, like, those are two teams that as soon as they cross half court, you have to step up on them, no matter who has the ball. It's 9 times out of 10 they're making the shot or they're firing it. But this UCLA team, like, watching this Alabama game, watching their Michigan game, another team, like, I think once you're in the Final Four and you're good enough to be in the Final Four, I think you have that final gear that you can kick into. But this UCLA team, and I'll go more in depth when we break down the Michigan game, but, like, the way they can close out games, I think is next to none with any team. And just obviously, I mean, with Alabama, they struggled shooting this game, but Alabama, I feel like, is one of those teams that they can hit shots kind of whenever they want. And they can get hot whenever they want. So UCLA took that in mind. They D'd up in overtime. Like you said, only held them to 13 points and kicked it into that next level on defense and offense and closed out the game. And I'll let you break down the rest because I'll go into the rest of their about the Michigan game.
The last game of the Sunday evening was USC versus Oregon, Pac-12 team. So 4 Pac-12 teams in the Sweet 16. So you had a chance for 3 of them making the Elite Eight. Guaranteed you wanted to. 1 was guaranteed no matter what. UCLA wins. So now you're guaranteed 1 more to have 2 in the Elite Eight. And what happens? USC comes out and beats Oregon by 14 points. And honestly, I think Oregon deserved that either way, that loss, because they played 1 less game than anybody else who made it that far. That's just my opinion. I think, everyone's playing that first round game and playing the same amount of games, except that you play a play-in game kind of. So with that being said, you're playing a team who's already played now 2 40-minute games, and you've only played 1. Now, granted, Oregon did play a very tough damn game that second round against Iowa. They had a tough competition. But to me, in my opinion, I'm thinking to myself, like, nah, they don't deserve to make it this far.
I mean, did they, like, don't get me wrong, they had tough competition with Luka Garza, but, like, we've said time and time again, if their guards don't perform, is this Iowa team really that good? Or
Exactly.
Is it just so, like, I agree. I think it was more of that VCU, like, I personally had them getting upset first round to VCU.
I did too.
And then VCU had all that COVID throughout their locker room, and then kind of messed up my bracket, but whatever. And then they start making their little run because they have fresh legs, like you said. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they're a good team, but
I
that
was glad
Iowa game
by
is
14. I was so glad.
yeah, I mean, I think they definitely met their match, but I think if that Iowa team, like if their guards would have been a little bit better in that game, I think it would have been a different story. But I think for this USC team, I think it was kind of destined for them just because I look at them, man, and Evan Mobley is and
And
his brother too, but he is and he's only a freshman. But
he ain't even more than that. He's leaving.
I'm saying like
He's
the
gonna be
impact
nothing
he
more than a
has on this
freshman.
team as a freshman is unreal. Um, and then his poster dunk he had in the first half, it's like, dude, why are you out here disrespecting people? Like, um, I mean, it was 4 for 6. This this USC team, they can D you up and they don't take very many threes, but when they do, they make them or they're knocking them down. It's fun to see this USC team play, but I'm just not sure. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think if they would have went up against the Iowa team, I think like with Oregon, I think they would have met their maker when Oregon played them.
It's all about a what if, what could have. But USC is
That's
now in the
true.
Elite Eight, and now we're talking about Monday games. First game was Houston versus Oregon State. This game, I didn't get to watch. It doesn't work. I didn't watch any games on Monday and Tuesday. But look at this game. Final score 67-61. Houston gets the victory and reaches the Final Four. At first half, it was lights out for Houston, up by 17. And then Oregon State started coming back. I know for a fact. But Houston, their defense stepped up and they held off that comeback for Oregon to do. And that's what got them the nice 6-point victory. And they are in the Final Four.
Yeah, seeing them, I kind of turned it off halfway through the first half because it was kind of boring to see. Um, I mean, it was pretty much just Houston getting stops, Houston making shots, Houston getting stops, Houston making shots. I mean, that's pretty much all it was in the first half. Second half, Oregon State came out and they started making their shots. But like you said, seeing this Houston team being able to step up and be like, okay, like y'all want to make this a game. Now we'll strap up real quick and we'll shut you down. And again, I mean, with this Houston team, that's one thing that I think they can do better is say, okay, we're gonna strap up and you're not gonna score. Like right now, I think they're probably the best defensive team in it right now. At saying, yeah, we're gonna D you up because 1 through 5 they can guard you, and then they're gonna run the floor. So
The next Elite Eight game we had was Arkansas versus Baylor. And this I thought would be an upset for Arkansas. Had Arkansas in the Final Four. Didn't work out so well. Baylor won by 9, 81-72 was that final score. And let's just say my COT stepped up big time, dropping 22 points in that game to get the nice victory for Baylor and a nice Final Four trip booked for him.
yeah, this Arkansas team, they struggled shooting the ball, and I think that's where Baylor just got the edge in this game. Arkansas shot 27% from the three, shot 48% from the field, which is not bad shooting 48% from the field. But when you're this Arkansas team and you rely on hitting threes and getting offensive putbacks from missed threes and then running the floor, and you're missing threes and not getting those offensive rebounds, it's kind of kills your whole game plan. So I think Baylor they played better. And then I think one of the big things was having Butler and I'm going to butcher his name, but Thamba, I think is how you say it. They're two big men down there. They didn't do a whole lot, but like this team in general just out rebounded them. So that was the key thing for me is
Is what? I know you're done. My
uh,
B. My B, my B, my B. So now, Final Four set for that side. You got Baylor versus Houston. But before we talk about that game, we got to talk about the last two Elite Eight games. First, a game up, USC versus Gonzaga. So let's just say we started out the Elite Eight with 3 Pac-12 teams. One fell off. We got 2 left. Did USC get the win? Nope. Where has been close. Lost by 19 to Gonzaga. Let's just say
met their maker.
What?
They met their maker.
They met their maker with guys named Drew Timmy, Kisper, and Jalen Suggs. Timmy left away with 23, Kisper 18, Suggs 18. Now the Mobley brothers got thirds 19 and 17, but other than that, didn't do much.
That's the thing I noticed with that USC team is the Mobley brothers are going to get theirs no matter what, but it's like the rest of the team, we're going to get ours no matter what.
And you just look at that whole game as a whole, like people were even saying, oh yeah, I think USC got it. Hell no, they don't got it. There was not a single chance that USC was going to get a win in this round. First off, Gonzaga out-rebounded them 41-29, had one less turnover, and shot the ball 50%. And I'm going to say that's a guaranteed victory when you do that.
Well, here's the thing with this, and I don't know why, but all over Twitter, people just love to say that Gonzaga is not the best team. And they're saying they had an easy 30-0 so far. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They've literally played I think they played the hardest schedule or one of the hardest schedules in college basketball. I mean, obviously outside of the Big Ten, you had the Big Ten all playing each other, but they had to play BYU. They played Kansas. They played WVU. They had Baylor on their schedule, but that game got canceled. Played that Santa Barbara team or whatever that was in the tournament.
I'm sorry, Caleb. Gonzaga's schedule ain't that hard in conference.
But it's not like they had the easiest ride out of any team.
If you look at all the other teams in the tournament, now will I say their ride to the Final Four is the hardest? Yes. I would say yes to that one. But their outside schedule, out of conference schedule was harder than anybody because they had Kansas, WVU, Iowa, had Baylor scheduled. So you had those teams. But
yeah, I'm not taking in their in conference. Their in conferences, other than BYU and that Santa Barbara team.
Santa Barbara's on their conference.
I thought Santa Barbara was in that conference.
No,
they played them out of conference.
They never played them. They played Santa Clara.
Santa Clara, that's who it was. And
that's in
Santa
conference.
Barbara. That's in conference. But I mean, they obviously can't help who they play in conference. But
sounds a little bit like college football right there. My boys are state boys.
I mean, yeah, but I'm saying if they would have played anybody else this year, now I think Baylor is a big if, but if they would have played anybody else this year out of conference, they would have beat them, and they would have beat them bad. Like they beat everybody else, whether it was in conference, whether it was out of conference. It's like we always say, year in and year out. Like with Alabama, I think it was destined for them to win the national championship this year. Let's look back to college football last year. I think it was destined for Alabama to win it last year. Oh, let's look at NFL. I think it was destined for the Bucs to win it. I think it's just destined for Gonzaga to win it. Like, they've been the best team all year long. So, and this game proved, I mean, you had a freshman almost had a triple-double in the biggest game of his life. I mean, and people want to say this team ain't good. This team should not be 30-0.
If somebody says this team ain't good, do they know sports?
I don't know. I see.
When you go down to the casino and try to bet sports before the tournament started, you literally had Gonzaga, the field. The field's every other team.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying
It was literally called Gonzaga versus the field.
But I'm talking about like just on Twitter. Like I see people all the time just saying like when this dude I follow, Brian Roth, like when he'll say something about this Gonzaga team, like when Gonzaga's playing, he'll be like, "Oh wow, this Gonzaga team, this shows why they've been dominant all year long." People in the comments would be, "What are you talking about? Like they haven't been dominant all year long. They're not even the best team in college." But I'm like, are we watching the same college basketball here? Because all year long, I've been saying since day one, Gonzaga's been the best team. Like I said it after WVU or after they beat WVU, I was like, okay, yeah, Gonzaga's the real deal. I don't know. I just think that, I mean, obviously outside, like I said, outside of the Big Ten and them all having to play each other, and then the Big 12 all having to play each other and beat up on each other, I think they are up there for like out of conference. I'll definitely give them the out of conference, but in conference, no. Other than BYU.
Well, all right, after Caleb got done his Gonzaga rant, I let him go
Sorry.
for a little bit. You're good. Yeah, so we have that one Final Four spot left and one Pac-12 team left, and the lone Big Ten out of 9 teams left standing, UCLA versus Michigan. And you can just say it's a boring-ass game when the final score after 40 minutes is 51-49. Excuse me. But it was led by the man Johnny Juzang for UCLA, dropping 28 points in that big 2-point victory over the Wolverines. Thoughts on the game?
I wouldn't really say it was. I think it was more exciting since it was low scoring. Like obviously they weren't hitting their shots.
I'm sorry.
But
I can't do a game when I'm just watching back. I mean, not back, really dribble, shoot. I can't. I see the fast paced shit. That's my go-to kind of basketball. Nonstop.
Yeah, I think the reason it was. I mean, you can obviously look at it and see why it was low scoring. I mean, UCLA shot 21 for 54, 38%, and then Michigan did not shoot much better. They only shot 39%. And then from three, both teams shot 27 and 23. But both teams, like, they would go on their little runs. Like, I can go back on my UCLA, like, the way they were able to close out this game. First, they started off the game, started off really slow. I mean, first Michigan was up, like, I want to say it was 8-0 or something like that. UCLA comes out, goes on a little run, and then both teams just start battling. And then you finally see, like, they miss shots all around. But comes the second half, and UCLA is just same thing with Houston. They're able to say, all right, we're going to D you up, and we're going to make our shots. And they close out the game against what I would say is a much better team in Michigan. I think they're a much better team than this UCLA team, but I think this UCLA team was more prepared, and I think they were I think they wanted it a little bit more than this Michigan team, especially Johnny Using. Like, that kid coming from Kentucky last year didn't really fit in there, but what he's been able to do to this UCLA team and lead them to this Final Four is impressive.
I definitely do feel UCLA wanted it more, and you know what that means? They're in the Final Four. So
you know it would have been a Texas versus Los Angeles matchup if USC would have won and the UCLA would have won. You would have had LA teams playing each other, and then you have Texas teams playing each other on the other side of the bracket. So you have a Texas team versus LA team in the championship, but not anymore.
Oh, actually, yeah. That was not going to happen.
Oh no, it wasn't going to happen, but it was a nice if.
Gonzaga is in California.
Not really. They're in Spokane, Washington.
Same thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it is. Let's be real. Like, you live
It's
in West
like,
Let's be real. You live in California and you live in some bum ass city. Where you live? I live in the West Coast. You live in Spokane, Washington. Where you live? West Coast.
oh yeah, but I
I've
mean,
never heard someone say, I live in Spokane, Washington. I live in the West Coast.
well, now you're gonna start hearing people say that after Gonzaga wins it. You're gonna
And
hear,
let's be real.
I
You
live
live
in
in
Spokane.
you live in the state of Washington or Oregon. You're literally going to say, nah, I live close to California. I live close to Cali. Like, literally, that's what you hear.
I'm like an hour drive to Cali.
Yeah. I live an hour away from LA. You live in Nevada. I live 3 hours away from LA. But all right, we got the Final Four set: Houston versus Baylor, UCLA versus Gonzaga. Caleb, before we even break it down, who do you think is going to win the game? I want a straight up prediction. Don't even break it down. I don't want a reason. Just tell me. Then we'll talk about the reasons later. Who's playing the championship game?
I'm taking Houston and Gonzaga in the championship.
Okay. I'm going to go with Baylor and Gonzaga. I'm going to go with – so now let's talk about the reasons. I think Baylor has more veteranship. After seeing that game against Villanova, you can see two different types of Baylor. You can see a not give a damn. All right, we got to win this game. So you can see two different types, and I feel like if they can use that one, we got to win this game for 2 full halves. I think this Houston game will be a 10-point victory for Baylor if that happens. Gonzaga, I don't got to explain myself for that one. I just think Gonzaga's more dominant, more talented. Do I think it will be within a 14-point spread? I think Gonzaga wins by 12.
Okay. So I'm taking Houston. I just think, personally, I think that they can just close out the game better. I know I've talked a lot about Baylor and their veteranship, but I'm going to go back to what I saw the other night with this Houston team, and just how if they don't want you to score, you're really not going to buy a bucket, and they'll cash in all the time. Same thing with this Gonzaga team for me. I really don't have to explain myself on why. I just went on like a 4-minute rant of why I think Gonzaga is the best team in college basketball and one of the best teams I think we've seen in college basketball in a long time. So I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I'm going to, honestly, I could see this game being two ways. I could see it being like 12 plus, but I could also see it being like this UCLA team being one of those teams that keep it within 10. I think, what am I saying? I think Gonzaga is going to beat them by 12 plus.
Okay. We got on the same page here. So you have Houston versus Gonzaga. I have Gonzaga versus Baylor. And I'm just going to go on a limb here that we both think Gonzaga is going to win the championship game.
Yeah.
There ain't
32-0.
much more to talk about with that. So before we wrap this up, let's give one little recap. Give me the best thing you saw so far this whole March Madness.
Ooh. One thing this whole March Madness
that you just enjoyed the most about it. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
I'd have to say seeing all the different upsets, seeing that the unique teams coming out of nowhere. Let's go with Oral Roberts beating Ohio State, Ohio beating Virginia. Almost saw a University of Santa Barbara team beating Creighton, Oregon State beating Tennessee, UCLA making the run they had. Just that kind of tournament makes tournament more fun to watch, and that's when you literally say, screw the bracket. I'm here to watch the game, watch another upset happen. That's what it's about. And it was good for it to be that way after being off last year.
Yeah, I agree to that. Mine would be just being able to see the different players shine. Like, I think every night we have like night in and night out will have a superstar. And I think it's been that way in like previous March Madnesses as well. But I think this year, means a little bit more. Like same thing with the NBA. Like they had a lot to go through. People were saying like the championship means a lot more. I think people are going to say the same thing about this national championship for college basketball. They had to go through a lot more of COVID and all that. For me, being able to see these college kids who are, my age or younger than us, having to deal with like the whole pandemic and then can still go out there and like Jalen Suggs put up almost a triple double in the Elite Eight, or Johnny Using put up 18 or 28. Let me get it correct. Let me get the exact number. 28 points against the number 1 Michigan team. Seeing Max Abrams come in and do his thing in March Madness. Just being able to see these stars shine is, I think, on the biggest level too, is for me is the best thing. Because like you, and I'm gonna go off what you said, like not having this last year, I think is another, like elevates it even more, but also we know how important this tournament is for players like Max, for players like Johnny Using, who, don't get me wrong, like had a good year at the end of the year in the regular season, but that's where he really started to find his groove with UCLA. And then they get to the first 4 and now they're in the final 4. It's like he's been the reason for that. Like they've had role players around him who've been able to do their thing, but Johnny Using has been the reason for that. So for that, his draft stock's going up, and he's probably going to be, I don't know if it's going to be this year, what he's going to decide to do, but he's, his draft stock has gone through the roof just because of it. So I think that's a big thing. Being able to see someone, I guess, make their future on the biggest stage of college basketball.
100% of that one, because stars are found in this tournament.
Yeah, and like I said, seeing last year, not being able to see like Obi Toppin show himself in the tournament, I don't know, it's crazy, and I'm so glad it's back. So glad it's back.
The saddest thing though, Caleb, it ends on Monday in that national championship game where we'll crown, I guess you could say, if UCLA don't make it, a brand new champion. Or no, Houston won back in '92, didn't they?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because they won with Tumble, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Never mind then. So, has Baylor ever won? I don't think Baylor's ever won.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because they just won the first ever conference tournament.
Yeah.
So, if Baylor or Gonzaga make it, you might be able to see a brand new champion. Either way, you probably will if Gonzaga is in that championship game. So, Caleb, I think we were done for the day.
I think so, and that was a good episode. It was a nice breakdown.
Solid breakdown episode to recap with our thoughts because we're not experts. Ha ha ha. So, come back next week. We'll give you the recap of the tournament. We'll talk about a little bit of NFL, what happened on free agency, who went where. Come bring that start going back up before it comes to the draft. Talk a little NBA about the free agency that's been going on that we have not discussed at all because where our focus has been March Madness. Sorry. I don't care. It's my show. But we will get it done and we'll give you all the insight. We'll just give you our thoughts, opinions. I mean, obviously you already know who's where, what's going on, but we'll give you our thoughts about it because we're not experts. So before we go, Caleb, say your peace, love, and goodbyes.
Like Mackie said, guys, that is episode 113. We will see you guys next week. Come back for March Madness breakdown, NFL, and NBA talk next week. And we'll see you guys next week for episode 114. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what else you want to see. And we'll see you guys next week.
Episode 113, 113 in the books. Solid one. Watch some college basketball because it's the last days for it. There's 2 days left of it. And if you want to, go watch the women's tournament. Have fun with that one. Nothing wrong with that at all. Just UConn's dominant. Just know that. So UConn's dominant. They're dominant. Paige Balker, dominant. star as a freshman. I'll go ahead and put that out there. But come back next week. We'll give you a recap of the national championship game, give you our thoughts about it, and we'll break down some more NFL, some NBA before all that starts back up and ends. Yeah, NFL starts, NBA ends. See what I did there? But I'm Matt Mack. Yeah, I'm peacing out for the week. Like, subscribe, share, get the name out there, get the views up, and give us that thumbs up on the video. So, with that being said, peace.
Cause lately I ain't been the same, feel like I'm stuck in a maze.